California Association of Realtors has a commercial on, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, and at the risk of somebody getting me for plagiarizing or something, I'd kind of like to play it just to get a feel for what we're talking about.
A talented California realtor just sold this woman's home in Alameda, helping a young architect from the East Coast quickly settle into a great neighborhood. Because a thriving new development company just hired him to design and build 3 new high-rises in Los Angeles, Oakland, and San Diego, creating new opportunities for thousands of Californians. You may not always see it, but what starts with one California realtor benefits all of California. California Association of Realtors. Detail minders, people helpers, champions of home. To find a realtor in your area, visit championsofhome.com.
I love that ad because it looks at the big picture. You know, your job isn't just about selling homes. It's about being part of an economy. You're selling a community, and you're also helping to build that community. And it's about understanding that what each of us do, what each of you do, affects others. And so in this case, helping somebody find the right home is part of what attracts them to a particular community, and that individual and their family have an impact on the community. So from the city side, thank you all for what you do. We appreciate it because it does build our communities in a better way. Like the California Association of Realtors and this group, the city of Murrieta also tries to look at the big picture, which actually helps us guide how we approach everything that we do. For example, with our economic development program, our focus is on creating jobs. Now, we frequently hear from our residents, you know, when are we going to get more shopping? We need more dining. You know, same things Rob's saying. So it's apparently not an uncommon question, except in Temecula. Which, by the way, is where all of that money is going, because it's not coming to us. Well, anyway. But we know that many people do errands at lunchtime and after work. And we also know that restaurants really need a lunch crowd. And creating jobs creates the demand for both retail and for dining. And so that's important. So our focus is really on jobs. We also know that there's a lot more to it than retail and dining. It means that there are fewer cars on the freeway, which I think, you know, any of us who have tried to drive south on 15 or north on 15 would appreciate. And if you work in town, close to home, maybe you leave for work at 7:45 instead of 6. Maybe you get home at 5:15 instead of 7. It means you're with your family more, which, you know, personally I think is a great thing. It also means that you're in and out of the community more. You're in and out of your neighborhood. From a crime prevention standpoint, eyes in a neighborhood, you know, just like what Rob was saying, all the eyes, your eyes in your neighborhood, you know what's supposed to be there. So if something is wrong, you're going to spot it. And the more you're there, in and out, the better it is for your neighborhood. So we think that it's a crime prevention tool too. So all of these things are driving what we're doing for jobs. In Murrieta, it's really, as far as we're concerned, all about quality of life. As a matter of fact, just a week and a half ago, the council held their annual goal setting session. And they modified some of their prior goals, but they put an overall heading on it, because all of the goals really do come under the quality of life category. And that includes, you know, we are providing a high level of innovative public safety. We are aggressively pursuing economic development. And I think any of you who know Bruce or Kim understand that when we say aggressive, we mean aggressive. We're pretty much out there. We're very careful to assure fiscal responsibility, and we are planning, programming, and creating infrastructure development. We're coordinating and delivering responsible, effective services to the community. And a new one this year, which is foster and promote a connected and caring community. And what that's about is one of the things that people tell us frequently is Murrieta, despite being almost 6,000, really maintains that small town feeling. And as we develop and as we get more business and so forth, we don't want to lose that. One of our council members is a battalion chief for the city of Anaheim. He says Anaheim is spending tens of thousands of dollars for a study on how they get that feeling. Well, we've got it. So we want to be sure that we keep it. Now, that's not something that the city can create. It's something that the community creates. So we want to be able to foster that and to find ways to help bring the community together in ways that we aren't already doing. So how do we do all of this? Well, a couple of years ago, many of you know, we bought a horse ranch over on the west side of town, and we've turned it into an equestrian center. That equestrian center is getting more and more active. We're having events there almost every weekend. We're doing a lot of rentals and so forth. Additionally, the group Safe Alternatives for Everyone is working with the Police Activities League, and they're doing a youth equestrian program, which is great because it's taking at-risk kids and it's introducing them into not just equestrian programs, but interaction with the, positive interaction with the police and with other kids, so that's good. Last year, we also opened the Torrey Pines Park, which includes an all-synthetic turf baseball diamond. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, we're going to do just the green grass parts of synthetic turf. We actually have the baselines for synthetic turf, which is a different color, but it works, I guess. And we're also getting ready to replace 2 fields at Los Alamos Hills Sports Park, 1 football, 1 soccer, with synthetic turf, which allows play all year round. You're essentially getting 25% more use out of those fields than otherwise, because typically with grass fields, you have to put them out of circulation for about 3 months every year for restoration and maintenance. We're finalizing construction of our youth center up by Kellogg Sports Park. That's kind of the graphic up on the top left. It's supposed to be open later this summer. And we're also working on expanding our trails system throughout the city. One of the things we've been doing in particular is working on what's sometimes referred to as the Winchester 700 property, which is out off of Los Alamos, and working with the RCA to kind of maintain trails and put trail markers in to open that up to the public. We are, of course, continuing our community events in just, 9 days. A week from Saturday, we'll be having our 22nd annual birthday bash. And that'll be at Kellogg Sports Park. We bring in tens of thousands, probably 15,000, 20,000 people, I guess, there, including a hose down, one of the popular things. Fire department has a big ladder truck and they spray everybody off, which, hopefully you want to get wet. If not, well, stand back. And of course, ending with a fireworks show. It's a great community event. We have a great band that does, very often we'll have a band that covers one group. I think last year was Journey, and we've had the Beach Boys and so forth. This group actually, I think it's Prognosis. I listen to their stuff, and they cover so many different groups, and they are so spot on. It's actually amazing. So please come out to Kellogg Sports Park on the 29th. It starts at 2, ends at 9 with fireworks, and enjoy that. We also, of course, do the Veterans Day parade every year and the Memorial Day ceremonies. Last weekend we did the Father's Day car show, and of course in May we did the Angio Tour of California, which was a big success. One of the other things that we do, it's somewhat unique, we have a community garden. That part's not unique, but our community garden is, and this goes back to that goal about creating or fostering a connected and caring community. Our community garden is staffed by volunteers, and the food that is raised in it, the produce that comes out of it, goes to the food pantries. So it's actually giving back to the community, which is just amazing. It's been a very successful program. We get a lot of donations of materials. All the trees were donated, the fruit trees, and Supervisor Stone has donated money to it a number of times. It's just been an excellent program. Going back on our list of things with quality of life, Murrieta remains one of the safest cities in the nation. Each year, the FBI comes out with its uniform crime report, and for the most recent one, we are listed as the 5th safest city with a population of over 100,000 in the nation. And we think that's great, but I will give you a warning. That could change. seen AB 109, which was the state prisoner realignment program. And essentially what that is the state prisons were under a federal mandate to reduce prison population because of overcrowding. And so they've taken their less serious offenders and they have shifted them to county jails. Now, that may make sense for the state for a couple of reasons, one of which it's much cheaper to put them in county jails. The problem is that many of the county's jails up and down the state were already at capacity. And so when you take thousands of prisoners and move them into county jails that are already at or above capacity, what happens? Those folks start getting pushed out into the streets. And we've seen it. And I don't mean we, Murrieta, I mean all of us have seen it. We've noticed an uptick in burglary and larceny since they started this program. Now, to combat it, we took 2 police officers off of patrol, and we put them into a parole compliance team, and they go around and they follow up with everybody and make sure that they are on it. This has been a phenomenal program, and it's really helped a whole lot. And we've also begun participating in a regional task force. There are now 3 regional task forces for AB 109 compliance, and you know, the state's contribution to all of this is they gave us a grant for 1 police officer. So we're taking 3 police officers and they're giving us money for 1. Anyway, don't get me started on the state. We also have quite a few major capital improvement programs going on or recently completed. The picture here is Cal Oaks, as I think most of you know, that is completed. This is an earlier photo, but and it is working just extraordinarily well. We have 2 loops on it and widened the road and brought off the southbound 15 off-ramp, feeds right onto Madison. Just the whole area functions better. The signals are timed very well. I go through there every day, a couple of times at least, and it saves me a lot of time over what I used to. We're also working on, as I mentioned earlier, the youth center, which will be opening supposedly in July, August timeframe. So that should be, if you drive by, you'll see that it's the exterior surface is on it, and so we're working on the interiors now. So that should be coming right up. And we're also working on the Guava Street improvements. This is actually the storm drain by Guava Street that was part of the project. If you drive by there, you'll see we haven't done the surface on it, but it's all graded. The curbs are in. That'll be coming right up. And then shortly after that, we're going to begin on the Guava Street Bridge, which will go over the Murrieta Creek. And when we put that up, when we open that up, then the current bridge on Washington will be coming down. Another project that we're coming up with is, let's get to our, there we go. The Los Alamos I-15 overcrossing. We got bids in on that. That'll be widening it, and that'll enable us to widen the remainder portion of Los Alamos to 2 lanes in either direction. That will be coming up. We will be completed with that in August of 2014. The Whitewood extension north of Baxter, we're going to be going out for bids on that later this year, and that will also be done in 2014. It'll connect up with, we actually renamed several portions. That used to be Meadowlark, and then on the northern end it used to be Menifee Road. Sorry, Rob. But we renamed it Whitewood because we wanted the continuity. I mean, if you've driven around Murrieta, and I know all of you have, on one side of an intersection it's one name, and on the other side it's another. It drives me nuts. But unlike the weeds, I can't just have Public Works go out and change the signs. That'd really get me in trouble. But so what we're doing is Whitewood will go all the way to the northerly city limits, and right now it goes just south of Murrieta Hot Springs. One of our future projects is to extend that down where it will connect with Jackson. And so essentially we will have Whitewood going north to south all the way through Murrieta, which brings me to Jackson Inez. This is of course a very long-awaited project, and that one will be starting construction in just a couple of months, and will also be opening up in 2014. So that all those folks from Temecula can now come up to Murrieta and shop at Sam's Club, which is much less crowded than Costco. and I might add, is cheaper for membership. Trying to get some love it back. Anyway, one of the questions we frequently get, and it goes back to the jobs question, is what's going on with the North Murrieta Technology Corridor. A couple of years, we updated our general plan, and in this process, we redesignated all of the area, most of that area you see up there, as office research park. Obviously not where the houses are, but they could get a home occupation permit. They want to do a little research. But, and in doing that, what we're trying to do is turn this into a research and development area. So we're actively seeking research and development projects. We've been courting business park developers and also providers of higher education. And we've been working with the Urban Land Institute of Orange County to do a study on how to best develop the area and market it. We think it's going to start taking off pretty quickly. Additionally, Loma Linda, which is right in the middle of that, and had 50 acres when they started construction, has been buying up land nearby. So they're looking at how they can expand, not just with the hospital, but remember they're a teaching facility, they do research, they're tied to a university. And I also mentioned previously the Whitewood extension. This shows the entire extension. Part of it we've already done. That shows where it is in red there. Finally on that, we are in design for a diamond interchange at Keller Road in 215. So it's a fairly straightforward interchange, so we think it will get done relatively quickly, and will help with some of the traffic that's on Scott and also some of the stuff that's on Clinton Key. Now, while not in that particular area of town, we also have a technology incubator, which is just half a block away here at our old city hall. Our vision for this is to help the companies that are there and that will continue the process through there to grow so that they can grow and move into this area. And that's part of what we're working with the business park developers on is to identify these companies and what their future needs might be so that they can start looking at how do they build for the future. Oh, yeah, and somebody said we should talk about budgets. But, budgets, I mean, we know we get nice charts and councils like to see them, but quite frankly, for most people, budgets are boring. So I'm not going to really get into it, but I will tell you that the bottom line is that we're seeing an increase in revenue for the first time in several years. And what you can see with this chart, the green line is what we call our sources. Most of that is what we call our revenues. And the red is expenses. And you can see starting in 07, 08, we were doing pretty well. And then we saw a very steep decline. We had the good fortune in early 2008 to find that we had about $9 million of unallocated money above and beyond our reserves. And so what the council did, and quite frankly, this is pretty amazing because a lot of councils want to build things when they look at all this money. But this council chose to set that money aside, or most of it. We were in the middle of building the city hall, so we put some up there. But they put about $7 million of it aside for what we call an economic contingency fund. And that is what has gotten us to fill in the gap between the green line and the red line. Our priority as a city, we are a service organization. We provide service to the community, whether it's police or fire or street maintenance. And so our priority has been on how do we maintain our service levels. And I think we've done a pretty good job. Everybody at City Hall has just been doing double duty and doing it very well. Anyway, good news is, of course, our budget is balanced, no cuts, no layoffs this year. The projections that we are seeing enable us to go back to a 2-year budget, which is a welcome relief. Enough said about all of that. So I think in summary, I hope you can all see that we have been clearly moving forward despite the recession, and now that we're coming out of it, we're starting to see things accelerate, and quite frankly, we are ready. Thank you.